She was betrayed by her best friend, but the revenge came too late. Are you eating more lately? You've definitely put on a few pounds. Maya's voice was casual, but the words hit Naomi like a slap in the face. She looked up from her plate, stunned. It was supposed to be a friendly dinner between two best friends, yet Maya's comment lingered in the air, heavy and uncomfortable. Hello, my friend. I'm Goldie, and welcome to Goldie's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy today's journey as much as I've enjoyed crafting it for you, inspired by real stories and life's twists and turns. Naomi laughed it off, but inside, her heart sank. This wasn't the first time Maya had made a cutting remark under the guise of humor. Lately, these little digs seemed to happen more often, each one more hurtful than the last. Naomi told herself it was nothing. Maya had always been blunt. She was the confident, outspoken one, the kind of person who could get away with saying anything because she was charming enough to make it seem harmless. But it still hurt. For years, Naomi and Maya had been inseparable. They had grown up together, navigating the tricky waters of adolescence with one another's unwavering support. Maya had always been Naomi's rock, the friend who was there for every heartbreak, every failure, and every success. When Naomi's father passed away during her senior year of high school, it was Maya who spent nights at her house, holding her hand and letting her cry. When Maya landed her first big job out of college, Naomi was the first to throw her a party. They were each other's constants, the kind of friendship that people envy. But something had shifted between them. Naomi had started noticing it months ago. Maya's sharp comments, the casual criticisms masked as advice, the way she seemed to bask in attention when others praised her at Naomi's expense. It wasn't always this way. Maya had once been the person Naomi could count on without hesitation. But now, Naomi wasn't so sure. She couldn't pinpoint when it had started. Maybe it was after Maya's promotion, her meteoric rise in her career while Naomi was still figuring out her next steps. Maybe it was when Maya started making new friends, people who seemed to admire her larger-than-life personality while Naomi faded into the background. At first, Naomi had chalked it up to stress. They were both busy, working long hours, trying to keep up with their growing responsibilities. But as the weeks turned into months, Naomi began to feel something darker settling in. Maya's remarks had become more biting, her smiles more condescending. Naomi tried to convince herself it was all in her head. They were best friends, weren't they? Still, it was hard to ignore the nagging feeling in her gut. The competitive streak that had once pushed both of them to be better seemed now to be driving Maya to undermine Naomi at every turn. The jabs were always small but calculated, designed to chip away at Naomi's confidence. Maya was the star in every room, and Naomi was slowly being reduced to her shadow. As they sat at dinner that night, Maya chatting away about her latest work accomplishment, Naomi felt the walls closing in. She wanted to say something, to ask Maya what had changed between them, but the words caught in her throat. How do you accuse your best friend of tearing you down without sounding paranoid? How do you confront someone you've loved for years, when you're not even sure they realize what they're doing? So Naomi stayed quiet, pretending to listen as Maya continued talking about herself. But the seed of doubt had already taken root, and Naomi knew things weren't the same. The trust she once had in Maya was beginning to crack, and for the first time in their friendship, Naomi felt truly alone. Naomi couldn't shake the feeling that her friendship with Maya was unraveling, even if no one else could see it. For the next few weeks, she tried to ignore the nagging doubts that tugged at her whenever she and Maya were together. After all, they had been through so much over the years, and Naomi didn't want to believe that things could really change between them. But the subtle digs and offhand remarks were piling up, and it was getting harder to brush them off. It wasn't just the weight comment. Every interaction seemed to carry an undercurrent of competition, whether it was about work, relationships, or even something as trivial as who was more well-liked among their friends. Naomi noticed that Maya seemed to go out of her way to shine, to make sure she was the one everyone noticed and admired. She would take the lead in conversations, drop hints about her latest success, and make comments that left Naomi feeling small and insignificant. It became glaringly obvious at a work event Naomi had invited Maya to. Naomi had been working tirelessly on a big project for months, and the evening was meant to celebrate the team's hard work and success. Naomi was excited to introduce Maya to her colleagues, eager to share a piece of her world with her best friend. But as the night wore on, Maya somehow managed to steal the spotlight. She charmed Naomi's coworkers, laughing loudly at their jokes, sharing stories about her own job, and turning the conversation toward herself at every opportunity. At one point, Naomi overheard Maya talking to her boss, casually dropping ideas Naomi had shared with her months ago, ideas she had never shared at work, because they were still just thoughts in progress. Maya acted as if they were her own, presenting them with such confidence that Naomi's boss nodded approvingly. Naomi's stomach churned. It was one thing to be competitive, but this felt like a betrayal. The final straw came a week later at a mutual friend's birthday party. Naomi was feeling particularly low after a tough week at work, and she hoped the party would be a good distraction. But when she arrived, she felt Maya's eyes flicker over her outfit with a barely concealed smirk. "Oh," Maya said, "I didn't realize we were dressing casual tonight." Naomi felt the sting of Maya's words. She had thought she looked fine. She wasn't trying to outshine anyone, just trying to feel comfortable in her own skin. But Maya's comment left her feeling self-conscious the entire night. Maya, of course, was dressed to perfection, commanding attention as usual. Naomi tried to laugh it off, but the evening was a disaster. From that moment on, she couldn't relax, and as Maya flitted around the room, making everyone laugh, Naomi found herself standing in the corner, wondering when their friendship had become a competition she never wanted to enter. By now, the cracks in their friendship were impossible to ignore. Naomi knew she had to confront Maya about the growing tension, but she didn't know how. Every time she thought about bringing it up, the words got caught in her throat. How do you tell your best friend that they've been hurting you, without risking the entire friendship? Naomi hated confrontation, and she wasn't sure if Maya even realized what she was doing. Maybe it was all in her head. But deep down, Naomi knew better. The signs were there. Maya was no longer the friend she had once known. The person who had been her confidant, her sister and everything but blood, was now someone who seemed intent on tearing her down. Naomi couldn't understand why, but the jealousy and competitiveness had become too obvious to ignore. The final blow came when Naomi learned the truth about Maya's betrayal. She had been having dinner with a mutual friend, Jess, when Jess let something slip. "I don't know how you're dealing with it, Naomi," Jess said, her voice full of sympathy. Naomi looked up, confused. "Dealing with what?" Jess hesitated, realizing too late that she had said too much. "Oh, I thought you knew about Maya and, well, you know." Naomi's heart skipped a beat. "Maya and who?" she asked, her voice strained. Jess's eyes widened in shock. "Oh God, I shouldn't have said anything. I thought you knew about her and Matt." Matt, Naomi's partner, the man she had been with for nearly 2 years, the one person she thought she could trust implicitly. Jess's words hit her like a punch to the gut. Her mind raced, trying to process what she was hearing. "Maya and Matt?" Naomi repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. "What are you talking about?" Jess, clearly uncomfortable, fumbled for an explanation. "I mean, I just thought it was common knowledge by now. I saw them together a few times at the bar near his place. I assumed you guys were open about that." Naomi's world shattered in that moment. Everything came crashing down around her. The doubts she had been feeling, the little betrayals, the subtle manipulations, all suddenly made sense. Maya hadn't just been competing with her. She had been actively undermining Naomi's entire life, and now she had gone too far. Naomi didn't know how she made it through the rest of that dinner. She sat there, numb, barely hearing anything Jess said after that. Her mind was spinning, her chest tight with betrayal. How could this have happened? How could Maya, her best friend from childhood, do this to her? And how could Matt, the man she loved, be complicit in this? That night, Naomi went home and stared at her phone, wondering what to do next. Should she confront Matt? Should she confront Maya? Should she scream, cry, or just disappear? She felt like her entire life had been a lie. Everything she thought she knew had been turned upside down. The person she trusted most in the world had been tearing her apart behind her back, and Naomi had been too blind to see it. It wasn't just about Matt. It was about everything. The trust she had placed in Maya, the belief that they would always have each other's backs, it had all been shattered. Naomi felt humiliated, devastated, and completely alone. Her phone buzzed, breaking her from her thoughts. It was a text from Maya, as if nothing had happened. "Hey babe, wanna grab drinks tomorrow?" Naomi stared at the message, her hands trembling. How could Maya act so normal, so casual, after everything she had done? Naomi felt a surge of anger rise in her chest. She had been playing nice for too long, and now, It was time to fight back. Naomi's hands trembled as she clutched her phone, staring at the text from Maya. The rage that had been building inside her finally boiled over. For weeks, she had been swallowing her pain, trying to convince herself that things could somehow go back to normal. But this, Maya's casual message, pretending as if everything was fine, was too much. Naomi had spent the night after Jess's revelation replaying every moment in her mind. All the times Maya had been there for her, supporting her, only to be secretly driving a wedge between her and Matt. Every cutting remark, every subtle insult disguised as friendly advice, everything had been leading to this. Maya had taken everything from her, and now, she was acting like nothing had happened. For the first time in their long friendship, Naomi didn't care about keeping the peace. She was done being the passive, understanding friend. Maya had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. Without giving herself time to second guess, Naomi typed out a reply. "We need to talk, now." She hit send, her heart pounding in her chest. Moments later, her phone buzzed again. "Sure, babe, what's up?" The casual tone in Maya's response made Naomi's blood boil. She was so tired of Maya acting like everything was fine, like her betrayal didn't matter. Naomi couldn't hold it in any longer. She needed to confront her, to lay everything out in the open. "Come over, now." An hour later, Maya was standing at Naomi's doorstep, all smiles, as if nothing had changed. Naomi let her inside, feeling the tension radiating through her body. She could hardly look at Maya without her stomach churning. Naomi could hardly believe she was standing face to face with Maya, the friend she had trusted more than anyone, the person she had confided in for years, was now the source of her deepest betrayal. Naomi's heart raced as she stared at Maya, who was smiling, acting as if nothing had changed. The casual air around her was infuriating. "I know about you and Matt," Naomi said, her voice low but steady. The words seemed to hang in the air like a cold, cutting wind. Maya froze, her smile faltering. Naomi could see the recognition in her eyes, the way her expression shifted ever so slightly, but she said nothing. The silence between them was heavy, and Naomi's anger boiled just beneath the surface. Maya's silence was confirmation enough. Naomi's heart pounded in her chest. She could feel her hands shaking, but she forced herself to stay calm. "You've been lying to me for months. I trusted you. I believed in you. And this is what you've been doing behind my back." Maya opened her mouth, but no words came out. Naomi didn't need to hear her excuses, her justifications. The betrayal was already too deep, too painful. She had given Maya years of loyalty, and in return, Maya had torn apart everything Naomi held dear. Naomi stepped closer, her voice trembling with anger. "You've taken everything from me, my partner, my trust, my life, and you." She could barely find the words. "You've just stood there, acting like everything's fine." Maya finally spoke, her voice cold and defensive. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this, but maybe you should have seen it coming." Naomi's breath caught in her throat. Maya's words cut through her like a knife, deepening the wound even further. All the moments, the laughter, the shared secrets, they meant nothing now. She couldn't bear to look at Maya anymore, couldn't stand the sight of the person who had destroyed her life. Without another word, Naomi turned away, her body trembling with rage and heartbreak. She had been a fool trusting Maya so completely, and now she was paying the price. Everything she had once believed in had crumbled. All that remained was the overwhelming pain of betrayal. Naomi sat in her apartment, the darkness around her mirroring the turmoil inside. The confrontation with Maya had left her drained, but the anger still simmered beneath the surface. The betrayal was unforgivable. She couldn't let it go. Not this time. Revenge was the only thing on her mind now. Maya had taken everything from her, and Naomi couldn't just walk away. She thought about confronting Matt next, exposing Maya to their friends, making sure everyone knew what kind of person Maya truly was. It wasn't enough for Maya to feel guilty. Naomi wanted her to feel as destroyed as she had been. But even as these thoughts brewed inside her, something gnawed at Naomi, a strange hesitation that she couldn't shake. The next day, Naomi sat at the coffee shop where she used to meet Maya. The familiar setting did little to comfort her as she scrolled through her phone, aimlessly looking for something to distract her from the whirlwind of emotions. Then, something caught her eye, a name she recognized in an unexpected context. It was a social media post, a vague update from an old mutual friend of theirs. The post mentioned Maya, but the tone was somber, concerned. The words were subtle, but the meaning was clear. Maya had been sick, very sick. Naomi's chest tightened as she read the post again. She felt her breath catch in her throat as the realization slowly dawned on her. Maya hadn't just been acting out of cruelty or selfishness. There had been something else, something far worse looming over her. With shaking hands, Naomi searched for more information, and what she found left her in shock. Maya had been diagnosed with a terminal illness. She had known for months, but had kept it quiet, only confiding in a few close friends. Naomi wasn't one of them. Suddenly, the rage that had been burning inside Naomi flickered and dimmed, replaced by a hollow ache. She sat back in her chair, her mind reeling from the revelation. The anger she had felt so deeply, the need for revenge, it all seemed to slip away, leaving behind only a profound sense of confusion. What was the point now? Maya's life was already falling apart, not because of Naomi, but because of the illness that was slowly taking everything from her. Naomi's hands trembled as she realized that the vengeance she had been craving was meaningless. Maya was suffering in ways Naomi hadn't even known about. For a moment, Naomi felt a strange mix of emotions: guilt, sorrow, confusion. She had been so focused on her own pain that she hadn't seen what was happening to Maya. All the anger, all the plotting, it seemed so pointless. Now, Maya's betrayal had shattered her, but life had already dealt Maya a punishment far greater than anything Naomi could have imagined. Naomi stared out of the coffee shop window, her mind a storm of conflicting thoughts. She had wanted to hurt Maya, to make her feel the same anguish she had caused. But what was the point? Maya's life was already crumbling. Revenge would only add more pain, but not just to Maya, to herself as well. Naomi sat there, her heart heavy, realizing that the path she had been heading down was no longer one she could follow. Maya had wronged her, deeply and unforgivably, but life had already exacted a crueler punishment than Naomi ever could. There was no point in vengeance now. It wouldn't heal the wound or bring Naomi peace. It would only prolong the suffering for both of them. In the quiet of the coffee shop, Naomi closed her eyes and let the realization settle in. She didn't need to take revenge. Maya's suffering had already begun, in ways Naomi hadn't foreseen, and the cost of revenge was simply too high. In the days that followed, Naomi felt a strange emptiness. The anger that had once consumed her was gone, replaced by a quiet sadness. She had spent so much time plotting her revenge, imagining how it would feel to see Maya brought down, to see her suffer the way Naomi had. But now, knowing the truth, everything felt different. Maya's illness had changed the landscape of their conflict in a way Naomi hadn't expected. The betrayal still stung, there was no denying that. But as Naomi sat alone in her apartment, staring at the text from Maya that she hadn't responded to, she couldn't shake the feeling that continuing down the path of revenge would be a hollow victory. Maya's life was already unraveling, not because of Naomi's actions, but because of something far beyond anyone's control. Naomi found herself sitting in the quiet of her apartment, thinking about their friendship. The betrayal had cut deep, but there were years, decades even, of shared memories that didn't just disappear. Maya had been there for her during her darkest times, and now, in what might be the last stretch of Maya's life, Naomi found herself questioning whether revenge was really what she wanted. Would it bring her closure? Or would it just add more pain to an already broken friendship? One afternoon, Naomi found herself at the park where she and Maya used to go when they were younger. The bench by the lake still stood in its usual spot, worn but familiar. Sitting there, Naomi remembered the good times, the late-night talks, the shared dreams of the future, the laughter. It was hard to reconcile those memories with the reality of what had happened between them. But the truth was, life wasn't simple. People weren't simple. Maya had made unforgivable choices, but now, faced with her own mortality, those choices seemed less important. Naomi sighed, feeling the weight of the decision she had to make. She could walk away from this, walk away from Maya, from the friendship, from the pain. It would be the easiest thing to do. But as she sat on that bench, the wind rustling the leaves around her, she realized that walking away wouldn't heal her either. Naomi picked up her phone, her fingers trembling as she scrolled through her contacts. She found Maya's name and hesitated for a moment, her thumb hovering over the screen. She had spent so long avoiding this moment, so long running from the hurt and the anger. But now, it was time to face it. She tapped on Maya's name and sent a message, simple but enough. "Can we talk?" A few minutes passed before her phone buzzed with a reply. Of course. The next day, Naomi found herself sitting across from Maya in a small cafe, the tension between them palpable. Maya looked different now, thinner, paler, her illness evident in the hollowness of her cheeks and the tiredness in her eyes. Naomi could see the struggle in her every movement, the way she held herself together, even as her body betrayed her. I didn't know how to tell you, Maya said quietly, her voice fragile. About Matt, about everything. And then, when I found out I was sick, it all got so complicated. Naomi listened, her heart heavy. She could hear the regret in Maya's voice, but it didn't erase the pain. I don't think I can ever forgive you for what you did, Naomi said, her voice soft but firm. You broke my trust, Maya. You took everything from me. Maya nodded, her eyes filling with tears. I know, she whispered, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. There was a long pause as the weight of everything that had happened settled between them. The betrayal, the illness, the lost time, it was all there in the silence. But Naomi had made her decision. She couldn't hold on to the anger anymore. It would only eat away at her, just like the illness was eating away at Maya. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you, Naomi said finally, her voice breaking. But I don't want to carry this anger with me anymore. Maya looked down, her hands trembling in her lap. I understand. For the first time in weeks, Naomi felt a sense of peace. It wasn't closure, not exactly, but it was something. She had made the choice to let go, not for Maya's sake, but for her own. The path of revenge wasn't one she wanted to walk anymore. As they sat in the cafe, the tension between them slowly began to ease. They didn't speak much after that. There were no grand apologies, no promises of rebuilding their friendship. But in the quiet, there was an understanding. Life had taken them down different paths, and while they couldn't undo what had been done, they could at least find a way to move forward. Naomi left the cafe that day feeling lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. The betrayal still hurt, but she knew that time would heal the wounds. And while her friendship with Maya would never be the same, Naomi had found a way to let go of the bitterness and anger that had consumed her for so long. As she walked away, she looked up at the sky, the clouds parting to reveal a soft golden light. It wasn't revenge she needed, it was peace. And in that moment, she realized she had finally found it. Thanks for watching. How would you rate this story? Give it 1 to 5 stars in the comments and let me know what you thought. This is a brand new channel, and your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed the story, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss an episode. Your likes, comments, and shares help this community grow, and I'd be so grateful to have you along for the journey. See you next time.